and movement prep class. Thank you so much for hopping in today. We're going to be getting through a good little workout, one full circuit 2 times through, not before we do our quick warm-up. So we're going to start with our cat-cow, go into our shoulder cars, get some nice big rotations through the shoulder, and then we're going to do our glute kickbacks, working through our hip and glute motion there, getting some nice mobility through the hips. So warming up the torso, shoulders, and hips, we're going to start with our workout. That's going to start with bird dogs, getting our core nice and stable and activated. Then we're going to go into Superman extensions of the press. So this is going to be a little bit of a new exercise I'm going to try with you guys. We're going to be extending out from our shoulders here, extending up, pressing out, and coming back down and coming back down. So getting those Supermans out to the press, down, back out, and moving through that pressing motion overhead. Then we're going to go into a lateral pillar bridge, hopping up onto our knees or our feet, planting one arm down to the ground. Then we have our leg raises going into our air squats, working up onto the ground now a little bit. We're going to go into push-ups, bent over Ys, and a lateral squat. So should be a good little circuit for you guys. We're going to go twice through and then hit our cool down. Hey, Heather, thanks for hopping in. We're just getting started as I'm explaining everything we're going to be doing today. All right. So as I was saying, we're going to go through our circuit twice through and then finish with a little cool down, doing some hip stretching and some hamstring stretches as well, really opening up any sort of locked muscles that might be tightening up there for you guys. So we're going to start with our cat-cow, getting down to the ground, hands and knees. We're going to drop our belly button down to the ground, rounding out the back, looking up towards the ceiling, getting our chin up and rotating back down, pulling the spine up in towards the ceiling, sucking that belly button to spine and dropping back down, rotating back out, tilting the head up, moving back and forth, tucking those hips underneath. Couple more. As we move through here. All right. Heading into our shoulder cars here. Now, as we move through these, you want to imagine you've got 2 headlights right where your shoulders are, and you're trying to keep the headlights pointed down towards the ground the whole time. So keeping that chest facing the ground, we're going to pick one hand up, extend the arm forward, rotating up and out, opening up that hand to the side and coming back down the whole time, trying to keep that chest pointed down. We're going to do the same arm, reaching back towards the hand and rotating up and around. Okay, switching sides, extending the hand up and out, rotating our hand back and out and rotating all the way around. Coming back the other direction, rotating the shoulder around and coming back down. Good. Next up, we've got our glute kickbacks. So from here, we're going to keep our knees bent and bring one leg up to get to that nice 90-degree angle and coming back down and up, trying to keep that belly button sucked up to spine. We're not curving out that torso as we move through the hips here, keeping everything locked in and steady. And switching sides, readjusting, sucking that belly button to spine, shoulder and hips nice and level. Extending that leg up, keeping the knee bent at 90 the whole time. A couple more. And good. All right. Heading into our workout now, we're going to start with our bird dogs. So hands down on the ground, we're going to extend hand and leg out, coming into a nice flat bird dog, extending, creating that connection from fingertip to toe, coming back down, alternating sides, creating that nice stable point all the way through and back down, rotating or alternating to each side, keeping our torso nice and tight. Holding up at the top, sucking belly button to spine, and coming back down. Couple more. And rest. Good. Next up, we're going to do our Superman extensions with a press. So we're going to start by getting down onto our mats with our chest down on the ground. So laying flat in our prone position. We're going to start with the hands by the shoulders. We're going to pop the chest and the hands up, press out overhead, and come back down, lowering down. Popping up, extending out, straight out overhead, bringing those elbows back down, and lowering again. Going nice and even, back and forth, trying to squeeze that orange in the middle of the back or crush that egg with the shoulder blades. Keeping the shoulders nice and pulled down low and away from the ears as we extend those hands up overhead. A few more. And lowering down. Good. Next up, we're going to get into our lateral pillar bridge. So flipping onto our side, we're going to get one forearm down, either tucking the knees or extending the feet out. We're going to pop up onto our elbow, getting those hips up, nice and level with the shoulder. Really bringing those hips up towards the ceiling. Sucking that belly button into spine, trying to keep those shoulders nice and open towards the camera. Couple more seconds here. And lowering down, switching over to the other side, getting our other forearm down, bending the knees or extending out the feet. We're popping up into the bridge, getting those hips up nice and high, level with the shoulders. Holding, sucking that belly button to spine. And lowering back down. Good. Next up, we have our leg raises. So laying flat onto our back, we're going to extend the feet out, getting our hands underneath our hips. We're going to sweep the feet up towards the ceiling, pulling the lower back down to the ground. So bringing those heels up and toes come straight up. We're keeping our hips down to the ground, lower back pulled to the floor, belly button sucked up to spine as we bring those feet up over the hips. Nice even pace. Up and back down, nice and in control. A few more. Almost done. And rest. Very good. Next up, we're going to do our air squat. So getting up onto our feet, we're going to take these nice and slow so we really get a chance to feel that connection all the way from the feet through the hips into the torso, keeping our chest nice and supported. So feet starting about hip width apart. We're going to bring our hands slightly out in front as we bring the hands together. We're going to drive those hips back, lowering down, nice and slow, getting into our low position. Holding and Slowly driving up through the heels, engaging those hips as we come down. So again, driving those hips back behind us, starting to bend the knees, lowering down into that parallel position, and slowly driving through the heels and the midpoint of the foot. Nice and even, really trying to feel that stability through the torso and the trunk as we come back up and lower down. A few more. And last one. Very good. All right, next up, we're heading into our push-ups. So getting down to the ground again, either extending the feet back or knees down. We're gonna have our hands directly below the shoulder, a little bit wider than the chest, bringing ourselves lowering down, nice and even, and pressing back up. Again, feeling that stability and control as we lower ourselves down. Giving ourselves a nice, even pace to really feel that strength all the way through the movement. Sucking the belly button to spine. Keeping our core nice and tight. Shoulders pulled down and away from the ears. Few more. And done. Very good. Next up, we have our, I just call them Ys. I don't know. But you're making a big Y shape with your body. So you're gonna bring your hands out 45 degrees, extended up from the shoulder. So not quite a Superman and not out to the side, but right in the middle. Thumbs pointed up to the ceiling. And we're gonna pop the chest and the thumbs up, popping up, holding at the top, keeping those thumbs pointed to the ceiling and rotating back and lowering down to the ground, popping up again, rotating those thumbs back, getting up to the ceiling and rotating, dropping back down, popping up, holding at the top and dropping down to the ground. Coming back up again. Holding and lowering down. Very good. Next up, we have our lateral squat. So we're going to get back up to our feet. Get our feet a little bit wider than hip width. From here, we're going to drop down to one side, nice and slow, just like we were doing on that squat, giving a little hold at the bottom and slowly driving back up, switching over to the other side, dropping down, holding at the bottom and driving through the middle and the heel of the foot. Nice and even, really giving our legs and our hips a chance to really use this exercise to its max. Driving back up. Couple more on each side, keeping that belly button sucked to spine, chest nice and tall. Few more. And rest. Very good. All right, we're going to start back up again at the top with our bird dogs. So Getting down to the ground here. Hands and knees. We're going to extend out the hand and the opposite knee at the same time. Locking in, connecting that connection from fingertip to toe. Holding up at the top and lowering down, switching sides. Locking that in, toe to fingertip, and lowering down to the ground. Switching back out to the other side. And lowering down, alternating each hand and foot. Getting a nice even pace. Alternating out, last one. And done, good. Now dropping back down, we're going into that Superman extensions with the press. I guess it's just a prone overhead press, but that's what we're calling it today. So picking the chest up with the hands by the shoulders, extending out up in front, and lowering back down. Squeezing that orange through the middle of the back, keeping the shoulders nice and low away from the ears. Really thinking about how the whole shoulder joint is working together here. Keeping it in a nice neutral position. Picking the chest up, driving those hands out forward, and lowering back down. Extending back, and coming down. And dropping down to the ground. Very good, finishing up there. Next up, we got our lateral pillar bridge. So getting onto our side, either bending our knees or extending the feet out. We're gonna pop up onto our elbow, getting those hips up into the air, trying to get them level with the shoulders. So you got a nice flat line here from elbow to hip, or sorry, shoulder to hip. Staying up nice and tall. For a few more seconds here. Really focusing on the breath, trying to keep those hips up. Keep working hard. And dropping down, switching sides. Flipping over. Getting that elbow down, either bending the knee or extending the feet out. And popping up. Getting those hips nice and high with the shoulder. Squeezing the side of the torso together, sucking the belly button into the spine. Getting that torso nice and tight. Holding, keeping that balance and that stability. Really working that shoulder. Working our abdominals here. Trying to breathe, calm the body down through the shake. And relax down. Very good. All right. Next up, we have our leg raises. So we're going to get our backs down onto the ground, feet extended out in front, laying down. We're going to get our hands underneath the hips, feet extend out, heels come off the ground. We're pulling our lower back into the ground, sucking belly button to spine as the feet come up. Keeping our hips on the floor and lowering back down. Nice even pace. Nice and slow, really working through our movement here. Trying to get that full hip and abdominal activation here. If you want to add a little bit of a challenge, try bringing your shoulders up. So you crunch the abs just a little bit more. But keeping that nice extended leg sweep. Couple more. Keep it up. Last ones of these. And done. Man, I could do those all day. Those are so good on the core. All right, next up, we're getting onto our feet. We're gonna do our air squats. So again, slow, steady pace, really feeling the contraction and drive through the heels and the feet as we get ourselves down and up. So getting feet hip width apart. So I like to start with a slight knee bend. We're gonna drop the hips down, extending back, getting into a low squat, holding, and then driving, driving evenly through both feet as we come back up to standing, coming down into a hold and slow drive. Try and count to 4 before you're fully standing again. Coming down and driving up, 2, 3, 4. Good. Few more here. Really get into these last couple. Good. Coming down. Let's go. A couple more. And last one. Very good. Nice job, everyone. All right, now we're going into our push-ups. So coming back down to the ground, we're gonna get our hands below the shoulders, just a little bit wider than the chest. Catch our breath for a second, either staying down on the knees or extending 1 foot or 2 feet back. We're popping up into our push-up position. And again, nice and even, lowering down and back up. Squeezing that orange through the middle of the back as we lower down, keeping a good shoulder position. Sucking that belly button up to spine, keeping our torso nice and engaged. Hips level with the shoulders. Few more. And relax. Nice job. All right, we've got our prone Ys. I know earlier I said we were doing bent over, but not today. I had to call the audible. All right, so we're getting into our 45-degree position. Thumbs pointed up. We're gonna bring the chest and hands up, holding up at the top, pushing those thumbs through the ceiling, rotating back behind, and lowering down. Keeping our shoulders away from the ears, popping back up, squeezing that orange through the middle of the back, and coming down. Trying to keep our eyes forward, out in front. Keep that neck nice and straight. So we're not looking up, or we're not looking down, but just straight out in front through our face. Couple more. Last one. And done. Good. All right, last little bit of work here. We're going to get into our lateral squat. So nice and slow in control. We're going to start with our feet a little bit wider than hip width. We're going to drop down to one side, lowering our hips down onto the middle of the foot. Slowly driving back up, feeling it all the way from heel into hip. Sucking that belly button to spine, keeping our chest nice and upright. Switching side to side. Few more here, really working through nice and slow, feeling the strength through these movements. Really feeling that control through the hips. Last one on this side. And done. Nice job, everybody. Whew, that was a good one. Got my breath going a little bit there. Really felt a lot of control through our core, and I feel great right now. Got a good mind-body connection going on, I tell you what. All right, so we're gonna go into our stretching here for the cool down. We're gonna start with our hurdler, and we're gonna do a little bit of a flow today. So we try and keep it a little simpler as we move through these. So first one, we're just gonna fold the leg back by the hip and lower ourselves down, stretching out through the quads here on top of the leg and then into the hip flexor as well. And if you can, you want to try and get all the way down to the ground, although this can get pretty intense depending on how tight those quads and hip flexors are. I can feel this one in the front of my calf as well, so it really does a good job of getting all the way through the front side of the leg. I'm trying to just breathe deeply, relax into it. Nice and calm. And from here, we're going to bring ourselves up, staying into the hurdle. So keeping that foot back, we're going to take our opposite hand and reach out over that toe, twisting just a little bit as we reach, rotating around, trying to stretch into the outside of that hip and leg as we reach through the hamstring. Nice deep breaths, feeling it all along the outside of the leg, into the back side, into those hammies, into the calves as you bring the toes back, and relaxing out, extending the leg back out, folding our other leg back, and lowering down to the ground, stretching into those quads and hip flexors of the other leg. Nice big deep breath in and out. Folding down, trying to relax into those quads, into the ankle and the front of the calf. And bringing ourselves back up, reaching out, going for that other toe and rotating just slightly to try and get into the outside of the leg and hamstring there. And relaxing out. Just to finish things off for good measure, we're going to pop into a butterfly for just a few seconds, pressing the knees down to the ground, stretching into that lower back, trying to bring the chest down towards the feet. And coming out. All right, great job, you guys. Thanks for hopping in today. As always, drop a comment in the chat, shoot me a message, or give me a ring and let me know about anything you guys would like to work on for future classes. If not, keep up the good work. Love seeing you guys in here. Thanks again for helping in.
Thank you.